Before The Love Boat set sail and Eddie Murphy cracked the comedy code, there was a forgotten sitcom where future stars met their spouses on set. A comedy legend died before taking the lead role, and Christmas Eve became television's cruelest cancellation date. Get ready to discover the bizarre behind-the-scenes secrets, shocking cast changes, and Hollywood connections that made That's My Mama one of TV's most peculiar productions. Fact 1. The lead actor almost never existed. Before Clifton Davis became the face of That's My Mama, the show had a completely different lead actor and even a different name. The original pilot was called The First Family of Washington, and it starred the legendary comedian Godfrey Cambridge as a character named Oscar, working alongside Teresa Merritt, who played his mother just as she would in the final version. This pilot aired as a one-off special on ABC, a full year before the series officially debuted in 1974, giving audiences a glimpse of what could have been a very different show. Godfrey Cambridge was one of the most celebrated black comedians of his era, recognized by Time magazine in 1965 as one of the country's foremost comic talents, alongside Bill Cosby and Dick Gregory. He had already made his mark on Broadway with a Tony nomination and starred in groundbreaking films like Watermelon Man and Cotton Comes to Harlem, so his involvement would have brought significant star power to the series. However, when ABC decided to move forward with the sitcom concept, the entire show was retooled with a new title, a new lead character named Clifton Curtis instead of Oscar, and Clifton Davis stepping into the starring role. The tragic twist to this story is that Godfrey Cambridge died unexpectedly on November 29, 1976, at just 43 years old. He suffered a fatal heart attack while on the set of the television movie Victory at Entebbe, where he was preparing to portray Ugandan dictator Idi Amin. His sudden death came just 1 year after That's My Mama ended its run, making viewers wonder what the show might have been like if Cambridge had remained the star throughout its entire production. Fact 2. Columbia Pictures' Guinea Pig Show. That's My Mama carries a unique piece of television history that most viewers never knew about. It was the very first series ever produced by Columbia Pictures Television, making the show essentially a test run for one of Hollywood's major studios entering the competitive world of television production. Before this sitcom premiered in September of 1974, the television division had operated under the name Screen Gems since 1948, producing popular shows like Bewitched, The Flying Nun, and The Partridge Family throughout the 1960s and early 70s. On May 6, 1974, the company officially changed its name from Screen Gems to Columbia Pictures. Television and executives needed a flagship series to launch this new era and prove they could successfully produce content under their freshly rebranded identity. That's My Mama became that experimental first project, premiering just 4 months after the corporate name change and carrying the weight of representing Columbia Pictures' vision for television. The studio was essentially betting on this Washington, D.C. barbershop comedy to demonstrate their capabilities and help establish relationships with networks and advertisers under their new banner. This meant that every decision made during production, from casting choices to creative direction, was being closely watched by studio executives who wanted to see if their rebranding strategy would pay off in the television market. The show had to prove that Columbia Pictures Television could compete with established TV production companies while also meeting the high standards associated with the Columbia Pictures name in film. Being the guinea pig for such a major corporate transition added an extra layer of pressure to an already challenging situation of launching a new sitcom in a crowded television landscape dominated by powerhouse competitors. Fact 3. Christmas Eve Cancellation Curse. Television cancellations are always disappointing for fans, but That's My Mama holds the unfortunate distinction of having one of the most awkwardly timed series finales in television history when its last episode aired on December 24, 1975, which was Christmas Eve. While most networks typically avoid making major programming decisions during the holiday season out of respect for viewers and cast members alike, ABC decided this was the perfect moment to pull the plug on the struggling sitcom after just 39 episodes across 2 seasons. The timing was particularly cruel because the show had started its second season in September of 1975 with hopes of turning around its ratings performance, but it only managed to produce 13 episodes before ABC made the decision to cancel it midway through the season. Rather than allowing the show to finish out its season, or at least wait until after the holidays to make the announcement, the network chose Christmas Eve as the final broadcast date, essentially giving the cast, crew, and loyal viewers a cancellation notice as their holiday gift. The show was immediately replaced by The Bionic Woman, which ABC clearly had more confidence in as a ratings performer. The abrupt Christmas Eve ending meant there was no proper series finale, no opportunity for the writers to craft a satisfying conclusion, and no chance for the actors to say goodbye to their characters in a meaningful way. Families who tuned in that evening expecting holiday programming instead witnessed the final moments of a show that had been part of their weekly routine, making it one of the more memorable examples of insensitive scheduling decisions in 1970s television. The cancellation came down to consistently poor ratings, as the show never cracked the top 30 most watched programs during either of its 2 seasons on the air. Fact 4. The star who wrote a Jackson 5 hit. Clifton Davis was far more than just the lead actor on That's My Mama, as he had already achieved significant success in the music industry before ever stepping foot on a television soundstage. 3 years before the show premiered, Davis wrote the song Never Can Say Goodbye, which became a massive #2 hit for the Jackson 5 in 1971 and launched him into the world of professional songwriting alongside his acting career. The song featured a 12-year-old Michael Jackson delivering an emotional performance about a troubled relationship, and it spent 3 consecutive weeks stuck at the #2 position on the Billboard charts, only kept from the top spot by Three Dog Night's Joy to the World. The story behind the song's creation is particularly interesting, as Davis was playing the melody on keyboards at Motown Records' Los Angeles offices when producer Hal Davis, who was in an adjacent room with very thin walls, heard the tune and immediately recognized its hit potential. Hal Davis walked into the room and asked if he could record it with the Jackson 5 right away, and the track was cut that same night with session musicians, followed by the group's vocals just 2 days later. The song was originally intended for the Supremes, but Motown executives decided it would be better suited for their younger act. Never Can Say Goodbye went on to become one of the most covered songs in popular music history, with Gloria Gaynor transforming it into a disco anthem in 1974 that reached #9 on the charts and earned the distinction of being the first song to hit #1 on Billboard's newly created disco chart. The song has since been recorded by dozens of major artists, including Isaac Hayes, Smokey Robinson, and Stevie Wonder. Fact 5. Love bloomed during a replacement. Sometimes the most unexpected romances happen right on a television set, and That's My Mama produced one of the sweetest behind-the-scenes love stories when co-stars Teddy Wilson and Joan Pringle met and fell in love during the show's production. Wilson had been playing Earl Chambers, the easygoing mailman and barber, since the 3rd episode of the series, while Pringle joined the cast when she replaced Lynn Moody as Tracy Curtis Taylor at the beginning of the 2nd season in 1975. The chemistry between them was immediate, and what started as a professional working relationship quickly blossomed into something much deeper as they spent long hours together on set, filming the sitcom. Their on-screen relationship as friends and family members translated into a real-life romance that continued long after the show was canceled on Christmas Eve of 1975. The couple dated for several years before officially tying the knot in 1980, and they went on to have twin children together, a son named Robert Kenyatta and a daughter named Nicole Naomi. Interestingly, their professional lives continued to intersect even after That's My Mama ended, as both actors appeared on the television series The White Shadow. And when Pringle became pregnant with their twins while working on that show, the writers incorporated her real-life pregnancy into the storyline, and even cast Wilson as her character's estranged husband. The couple remained happily married until tragedy struck in July of 1991, when Teddy Wilson suffered a fatal stroke at the age of 47 while living in Los Angeles. Joan Pringle was left to raise their 9-year-old twins as a single mother, though she eventually found love again and remarried. Their relationship remains one of the most touching examples of genuine connection performing during the production of a 1970s sitcom. Fact 6. The mysterious mid-season actress swap. One of the most puzzling behind-the-scenes mysteries of That's My Mama involves the sudden and unexplained departure of original cast member Lynn Moody, who played Tracy Curtis Taylor, the sister of lead character Clifton Curtis. Moody appeared in the show from its premiere episode in September of 1974 and continued in the role for approximately 20 to 23 episodes, making it through most of the first season before abruptly leaving the production with no official explanation given to the public or the press at the time. When questions arose about her departure, Moody's manager Michael Cogg offered only a cryptic and unsatisfying statement to Jet magazine in 1975, saying simply that she didn't like the part anymore, which left fans and entertainment journalists wondering what really happened behind closed doors. The vague nature of this explanation sparked numerous theories among viewers, with some speculating about potential contract disputes, creative differences with the show's producers, conflicts with other cast members, or perhaps opportunities for bigger roles on other projects that required her immediate availability. However, none of these theories were ever confirmed by Moody herself or by anyone involved with the production, and the real reason for her sudden exit remains unclear to this day. Joan Pringle stepped into the role of Tracy for the remainder of the first season and continued through the entire second season until the show's cancellation, playing the character in a total of 17 or 18 episodes. The transition between actresses happened so quickly that viewers barely had time to process the change before the new Tracy was fully integrated into the show's storylines. Interestingly, Lynn Moody went on to appear in other significant television roles, including playing Irene Harvey in the groundbreaking miniseries Roots in 1977. Fact 7. Eddie Murphy's fake TV cameo That's My Mama received an unexpected and permanent place in pop culture history, thanks to Eddie Murphy's 1988 comedy classic Coming to America, where the show became the subject of a hilarious fictional reference that has confused viewers for decades. In the film, Murphy plays multiple characters, including Randy Watson, a thoroughly untalented lounge singer who fronts a band called Sexual Chocolate and performs at a local talent show in Queens, New York. Before Randy takes the stage to deliver his memorably awful rendition of The Greatest Love of All, the character Reverend Brown, played by Arsenio Hall, introduces him to the audience by announcing that he's a young man that you all know as Joe the policeman from the What's Goin' Down episode of That's My Mama, giving the washed-up performer a claim to fame that sounds impressive but is completely made up. The genius of this joke is that That's My Mama was a real sitcom that had been off the air for 13 years by the time Coming to America was released, making it obscure enough that many younger viewers assumed the entire reference was fictional, while older audiences who remembered the show were left wondering if they had somehow missed an episode. The episode title, What's Goin' Down, and the character Joe the Policeman never actually existed on the real series, but Murphy and the film's writers chose to reference an authentic show from the 1970s to make Randy Watson's desperate attempts at relevance feel more authentic and pathetic. This fictional cameo has kept That's My Mama in the cultural conversation far longer than it might have been otherwise, as fans of Coming to America frequently search for information about the show to see if Randy Watson's claim had any basis in reality. Fact 8. The mailman who changed actors twice. The character of Earl Chambers, who served as Clifton's best friend and the neighborhood mailman, went through an unusually complicated casting journey that involved 3 different actors before the role finally stabilized. Ed Bernard was the first person to play Earl in the pilot episode titled Whose Child Is This?, and continued into the second episode called Honesty Day, establishing the character as a friendly postal worker who spent his free time hanging around Oscar's barbershop. However, between filming the pilot and the regular series production, Bernard was cast in a different role as Detective Joe Stiles on the police drama Police Woman, which created a scheduling conflict that forced him to leave That's My Mama after just 2 episodes. The situation became even more confusing because Teddy Wilson, who would eventually become the permanent Earl, actually appeared in the pilot episode playing a completely different character named Andrew Carruthers, a shady lawyer whose client tried to claim that Clifton was the father of her baby. Wilson then briefly portrayed yet another character, simply named Teddy, in one episode, before the producers finally decided to have him take over the role of Earl Chambers starting with the third episode of the series. This meant that attentive viewers who watched from the beginning would have seen Wilson playing three separate characters across the show's early episodes before he settled into the role that would define his time on the series. Once Wilson became Earl in episode 3, he remained in that position for the remaining 38 episodes through the show's cancellation in December of 1975. The character evolved from a mailman into a barber working alongside Clifton at the shop, and Wilson's comedic timing and chemistry with the rest of the cast made audiences quickly forget the confusing early casting changes. Fact 9. Future Love Boat Captain's Training Ground. Ted Lange's portrayal of Junior on That's My Mama served as the launching pad for what would become one of the most recognizable characters in television history, though viewers in 1974 had no idea they were watching a future icon in the making. Lange played Junior as a suave, good-humored ladies' man who would burst through the barbershop door in nearly every episode with his signature entrance catchphrase, "Ooh-wee, I got it, and I've got to report it," before sharing the latest neighborhood gossip with Clifton, Earl, and whoever else happened to be in Oscar's barbershop at the time. His energetic performances and natural comedic timing made him a standout member of the ensemble cast, even though the show only lasted for 39 episodes across 2 seasons. Just 2 years after That's My Mama was canceled, Lange landed the role that would define his career when he was cast as Isaac Washington, the charming bartender on The Love Boat, which premiered in 1977. The Aaron Spelling-produced series became a massive hit and ran for 9 seasons through 1986, making Lange a household name and cementing his place in television history with his character's trademark double finger point gesture that appeared in the opening credits each week. While many actors might have resented being so strongly associated with a single role, Lange embraced the recognition and continued to reprise the Isaac Washington character in various cameos and reunion specials throughout the decades that followed. Lange brought the comedic skills he had developed on That's My Mama to his work on The Love Boat, and he eventually expanded into directing episodes of that series as well, demonstrating that his time on the barbershop sitcom had prepared him for a long and successful career in television. Fact 10. The failed 1986 revival. Nobody remembers. A full decade after That's My Mama ended its run, Columbia Pictures Television attempted to bring the show back to life with a revival pilot called That's My Mama Now. That was produced in 1986, but never made it to series. The studio was inspired by the surprising success of What's Happening Now, which had successfully revived the 1970s sitcom What's Happening, in first-run syndication starting in 1985, proving that audiences still had an appetite for updated versions of beloved black sitcoms from the previous decade. Columbia executives believed they could replicate that formula with their own canceled show, so they developed a pilot that would catch up with the characters more than 10 years after viewers had last seen them. Ted Lange returned to reprise his role as Junior, though the character had undergone a significant transformation from the gossip-loving ladies' man who hung around the barbershop to a more respectable storefront lawyer working in Washington, D.C. Teresa Merritt also came back to play Mama Curtis, providing continuity with the original series, while the cast was rounded out with new actors, including Anne Marie Johnson and Daphne Reed. However, Clifton Davis was unavailable to participate because he had just signed on to star in the NBC sitcom Amen, which premiered the same year and would run for 5 successful seasons. The revival pilot was designed for syndication rather than network television, which meant it needed individual stations across the country to commit to airing the series before production could move forward. Unfortunately, not enough television stations signed up to guarantee the show's success, and Columbia decided to abandon the project rather than risk producing a full season that might not find an audience. Fact 11. DVD. Mystery of the Missing Scenes. Fans who waited decades for That's My Mama to receive an official home video release were disappointed to discover a frustrating problem when Sony Pictures Home Entertainment finally released the complete series on DVD in August of 2005, and again in a repackaged complete series edition in June of 2017. The majority of episodes included on both DVD releases were presented in their edited for syndication versions rather than the original broadcast cuts, meaning viewers were not getting the full episodes as they had aired on ABC during 1974 and 1975. When television shows are prepared for syndication, they typically have several minutes of content removed to make room for additional commercial breaks, which means jokes, character moments, and entire scenes can be lost in the editing process. Only a small handful of episodes across both DVD releases were presented in their original, unedited form, with full running times intact, though Sony never provided any explanation for why some episodes received proper treatment while the vast majority did not. The edited versions run approximately 22 minutes each, while the original broadcast episodes would have been closer to 25 or 26 minutes without the syndication cuts. This situation is particularly puzzling because Sony owned the complete original masters of the series and could have easily used the unedited versions for the DVD releases, but they chose instead to use the syndicated cuts that had been prepared years earlier for afternoon reruns. The decision meant that dedicated fans who purchased the DVDs hoping to experience the show exactly as it had appeared during its original network run were left with an incomplete version of television history. And to this day, there has been no effort to release properly restored editions featuring the full original episodes. Fact 12. The two stars who reunited years later. The on-screen chemistry between Clifton Davis and Jester Hairston during their time on That's My Mama proved strong enough to bring them back together more than a decade later for another successful sitcom collaboration. Hairston had played Wildcat, one of the elderly senior citizens who regularly hung around Oscar's barbershop alongside his friend Josh, providing comic relief and wisdom throughout the show's two-season run from 1974 to 1975. The two actors clearly enjoyed working together and maintained their friendship even after the show was canceled, which eventually led to their professional reunion when Davis was cast as the star of a new NBC sitcom called Amen that premiered in 1986. Amen featured Davis as Deacon Ernest Fry, a prominent member of a Philadelphia church, and the producers brought in Hairston to play Rollie Forbes, creating another opportunity for the two performers to showcase the natural rapport they had developed during their earlier collaboration. The sitcom became a hit for NBC and ran for 5 successful seasons through 1991, proving that their chemistry had not diminished over the years and could translate to a completely different setting and style of comedy. While That's My Mama had focused on a barbershop environment with a younger cast, Amen centered on church life and featured more mature storylines, yet Davis and Hairston adapted seamlessly to the new material. The reunion was particularly meaningful because it demonstrated that their working relationship had been genuinely positive during the earlier show, as actors who dislike working together rarely seek out opportunities to collaborate again. Their successful second partnership on Amen gave both performers another memorable chapter in their television careers and introduced their dynamic to a new generation of viewers. Fact 13. The show that couldn't beat Little House. That's My Mama faced an almost impossible battle for viewers because ABC scheduled it on Wednesday nights directly against two of the most popular programs on television during the mid-1970s. NBC was airing Little House on the Prairie, the heartwarming family drama starring Michael Landon, that had become a ratings powerhouse since its premiere in September of 1974, the exact same month that That's My Mama debuted. At the same time, CBS was broadcasting Tony Orlando and Dawn, a musical variety series featuring the popular singer and his backup vocalists that drew huge audiences with its combination of music performances, comedy sketches, and celebrity guests. Week after week, That's My Mama found itself completely overwhelmed by these two juggernauts, unable to attract enough viewers to compete in the Wednesday night time slot. The show never managed to crack the top 30 most watched programs in America during either the 1974 to 1975 television season or the 1975 to 1976 season, which made it nearly impossible for ABC executives to justify keeping it on the air, despite the fact that it had developed a loyal following among viewers who did tune in regularly. The competition was simply too strong, as families across America were choosing to watch either the wholesome adventures of the Ingalls family on the prairie or the energetic musical entertainment provided by Tony Orlando and his co-hosts. This scheduling decision essentially doomed That's My Mama from the start, as even well-produced shows with talented casts struggle to survive when placed opposite established hits that dominate their time slots. The poor ratings performance directly contributed to ABC's decision to cancel the series after just 39 episodes, making it a victim of unfortunate programming choices rather than lack of quality. Fact 14. Pregnant on another show with her real husband. The love story between Joan Pringle and Teddy Wilson that began on the set of That's My Mama continued to intertwine with their professional lives in unexpected ways years after the show ended. Pringle landed a starring role on the CBS drama series The White Shadow, which premiered in 1978, and focused on a white basketball coach working at an inner-city Los Angeles high school. She played Sybil Buchanan, who started as the vice principal before eventually becoming the school's principal, and the role became one of the most significant of her career as the show ran for 3 successful seasons through 1981. During the production of The White Shadow, Pringle discovered she was pregnant with twins, which presented the show's writers with a challenge of how to handle her changing appearance as filming continued. Rather than writing her character out of the show or trying to hide the pregnancy with creative camera angles and loose clothing, the writers made the creative decision to incorporate her real-life situation into the storyline by having her character also be pregnant. What made this even more remarkable was that they brought in Teddy Wilson, Pringle's actual husband in real life, to play her character's estranged spouse on the show, creating an unusual situation where the couple was portraying a troubled marriage on screen while preparing to welcome their twin children, Robert and Nicole, in reality. This arrangement allowed Pringle to continue working throughout her pregnancy without disrupting the show's production schedule, and it gave Wilson additional screen time on a popular television series. The decision to cast Wilson in this role demonstrated the creative flexibility that television writers sometimes employed when dealing with unexpected real-world situations affecting their cast members. Fact 15. Junior's catchphrase became iconic. Ted Lange's character, Junior, became one of the most memorable aspects of That's My Mama, thanks to his energetic entrance routine that appeared in nearly every episode throughout the show's 2-season run. Whenever Junior had juicy neighborhood gossip to share with the regulars at Oscar's barbershop, he would burst through the door with explosive energy and deliver his signature catchphrase, "Ooh-wee, I got it, and I've got to report it." The exclamation became so closely associated with the character that audiences would anticipate it every time Lange appeared on screen, and the phrase captured Junior's personality as the neighborhood's enthusiastic information broker who always seemed to know what was happening with everyone in the community. The catchphrase worked perfectly for the character because Junior was written as a suave ladies' man who attended college and loved being at the center of social activity, making him the natural person to bring news and rumors into the barbershop for discussion and debate. Lange delivered the line with such consistent enthusiasm and physical energy that it became impossible to imagine the character without it, and the repetition of the catchphrase in episode after episode created a sense of familiarity and comfort for viewers who knew exactly what to expect when Junior made his entrance. The writers understood that this kind of repetitive character trait was essential for sitcom success in the 1970s, as shows like Good Times with JJ's Dynamite and What's Happening with rerun's various catchphrases had proven that audiences loved having predictable moments they could count on each week. While some viewers found the constant repetition of "Ooh-wee, I got it, and I've got to report it" slightly annoying over time, the catchphrase undeniably helped make Junior one of the show's standout characters and gave Lange a memorable calling card. Memorable calling card. Memorable calling card.